All right, we take you back to the Princess Magogo Stadium, where our reporter Jade Paulse is on standby there to give us the latest coming out of the Heritage Day celebrations. They also do understand that Deputy President Paul Mashatile is expected to give a keynote address as and when the program gets underway. Let's connect with Jade now. Jade, thank you so much for your time this hour. So take us through what's happening there now.
Well, I'm Polisi. You know what? It is a hive of activity here at Princess Magogo Stadium, and it's also very colorful with various different indigenous groups coming out to showcase their cultural ancestry. And as you can see behind me, the visuals are electrifying. They're bold, they're beautiful, they're bright, they're diverse, and they make up the fiber of South Africa and us as a nation. Well, I am joined by the Minister of Arts and Culture, Zizi Kodwa, just to speak to us about the importance of this day, National Heritage Day. Why is it important that we as South Africans hold on to our culture, our roots, our background, where we come from, Minister?
Just behind us, I think your viewers have missed a lot of 9 provinces showcasing each diversity, representing each province is behind here. Eastern Cape, Limpopo have just gone past now. It's important to celebrate who we are, because our identity is not just language in terms of heritage, but it's who we are. Look how beautiful you are. You look like a Makoti. And it's a celebration, it's a heritage you must celebrate. Language, culture, music, geographical space. And today is about celebrating diversity. And that you can see, all 9 provinces are represented here, representing different diversity of each province.
You know, South Africa is a melting pot of nations. We all come together, and in some weird way, we are all intricately woven into each other in terms of culture. But just holding on and preserving our culture in terms of language. You just mentioned language, the importance of being able to speak your language, your mother tongue in South Africa.
Language is identity. And it's important that as we talk about diversity and a rainbow nation, but what identifies that nation is a recognition that we are different people. Yesterday, I sent off Proteas, and I was telling them about the national flower called Protea, because it represents a divergence of elements, but it's in one. We are that Protea represented here. We're a national plant represented convergence of representing national elements. And it is who we are that we celebrate one another. All national groups, whatever the size is, must be respected. And it's in the essence, the architecture of our constitution. And what we see today here is about what South Africa is about. Our lessons from somewhere in the continent, where we have a dominant ethnical group, dominates because of its views, because of tribalism, where the architects of our constitution was meant in such a way that we recognize the smallest national group, as you can see here.
And that for me is absolutely beautiful. Just in terms of what your department is doing in spearheading the music that we have, you know, the arts industry. We know here in KwaZulu-Natal, Maskandi is a popular one. But across the 9 provinces, we have various cultural groups that also want their music to be out there in the mainstream. So just in terms of the National Arts Department pushing the music industry as well.
Music, one of the biggest expo in US is music. And here in South Africa, we have not recognized the role of music, arts and culture, as well as sport. And I think we're beginning to lift that up, because it's not about on and off the field. It's about its contribution to social cohesion and nation building. That's why most successful countries, they've got a strong foundation of sport, because they understand sport as a very important anchor of nation building. We are moving towards that. That's why last week we had what is called School Sport in Durban, a grassroots foundation upon which will then anchor some of the pillars of a nation building.
And before I let you go, talking on sport, the indigenous games that we're going to be seeing here and being displayed, many of them want to also be into the mainstream sports, fraternity. Talk to us about how we're going to revive that, indigenous games, inclusive into the mainstream sporting arena.
Importantly, each province that is represented here for the whole week in KwaZulu-Natal, we have an annual indigenous games. Limpopo, they'll come with their indigenous games. Cape Town, they'll come in Tonga and everything else. But what we need to do as part of professionalizing some of these things, it's a matter that we're discussing with federations. How do we make sure what we see this celebration becomes a professional sport?
Minister, before I let you go, I see you wearing very brightly colored pants. Can you talk to us about where this comes from and what is behind this inspiration?
Now, the best designer is Sonamile Ndamase. Sonamile Ndamase is the one who dressed President Mandela. You know, the Mandela t-shirts. And behind this is spring, man. All what it means is brightness, is happiness. South Africa today is a happy nation. And I think our happiness index is on the positive because of the celebration of who we are. Whatever negativity we have around us, but we must never forget we are who we are as a people, and we must celebrate each moment.
It's very true. Thank you so much for joining us, Minister Zizi Kodwa. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. Well, you heard the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture just talking to us about the importance of today. It's about diversity, it's about inclusiveness, it's about embracing our ethnic background, giving homage to ancestral background as well, but more importantly, celebrating together as South Africa. It's back to you in studio.
Jade Paulse, thank you very much for that indeed, and we will continue to observe and commemorate that melting pot that you were talking about there with the minister. And we do understand that you will be leading us shortly to the official part of the program, which is expected to start around 11 a.m. with the singing of the national anthem as well as the African Union anthem, and that will also be leading us to that keynote address by the Deputy President Paul Mashatile. We are on standby for that, Jade. Thank you very much indeed for that update. It's now time for us to take you to an ad break. We'll be back straight after this, and as you can see there, those live visuals there coming out of the Princess Magogo Stadium there, where people have gathered to celebrate Heritage Day today. This is a day that essentially also brings us together as South Africans to only, not to only appreciate how different we are, but to also celebrate our cultures. Jade and the minister, they also spoke about that melting pot that we continue to enjoy as South Africans. As you can see there, the various cultural groups making their way to the stadium in song and dance. And that's the one thing you can count on us as South Africans to always get right, to sing and dance. Stand by for all of this and more coming up after this.